If you're a carpet cleaning or flooring business, can you tell me with certainty which type of job is the most profitable for you? And is it the best one to build your growth around? If the answer is no, stick around. Hi, I'm Anya Smith from Anya Works. I work with service business owners who feel stuck in their growth or like the business owns them instead of the other way around. Today, I'm talking specifically to my flooring folks. If you clean carpets, handle water damage, install flooring, anything in that world or realm, then this video is for you. When you run multiple lines of business, it can sometimes be hard to know which job types you should actually be pursuing because they move the needle and which ones are just keeping you busy without adding to your bottom line. That's exactly what this job profitability analyzer tool is all about. What makes it a little different from other profitability tools that you might look at is that it doesn't just look at the numbers. It also factors in how easy the type of work is to execute, how repeatable it is, how scalable it is, because profit margin alone doesn't tell you what's worth growing your business. Quality of life matters. And don't worry if your books aren't perfect. This tool is actually designed for a client of mine who doesn't have the cleanest bookkeeping practices. So you can just use your best estimates. And it actually, in a cool way, we'll talk about later, kind of helps you gut check on how realistic those estimates are. So let's get into it. We're going to put in a little bit of data and get a lot of information out. Let's see how easy it is to use. All right, so this is what the tool looks like once you are in, and we're going to start with one simple number that shouldn't be too hard to come up with. This is your total monthly fixed overhead. These numbers are going to auto-populate based on information down here, so don't worry about those yet. This number is coming from the data that does, or the bills that don't change based on how much work you're doing. So that's going to be things like subscriptions, your vehicle payment, your insurance payment, rent if you rent a space or pay for storage. All of those things are going to go into your monthly fixed overhead. You should be able to come up with that number. You might not know it off the top of your head, but you should be able to find a number that's pretty close fairly easily. If not, you really should take the time to do that. And if you need help with that, let me know. I can always do a separate video. I do have this broken into residential and commercial, and I have put in the job types based on what I know my client does. It may look, the product mix or the service mix may look a little bit different for you. If that's true, feel free to just use these as placeholders and map them over to your services. If there's too many services, like I think there's 8 or 9 here between residential and commercial, you can just leave them, you can just zero them out. Like say you don't do mold remediation, just zero those out. Why won't it let me? There we go. Helps if you have your number pad turned on. And you can either use the little things here or you can use your number pad. I'm going to use my number pad to zero these out. And then you're going to go line by line, job type by job type, and give us your is the best information you have. Average revenue per job. So what is your average invoice? You should kind of know that off the top of your head. Average hours on site from the time you pull up to the time you pull away. How long is that job taking you? Labor cost per job. If that's you and you don't think of yourself at an hourly rate, that's fine. But the number I want you to put in there is if you had to hire someone to come in and do the cleaning part for you, like the actual service part for you, how much would you have to pay that person per hour? You're going to multiply the hourly rate by however many hours you set on site. So if that's $25 an hour, then this is going to be $75 because we have them working there for 3 hours. Material job per cost, so that's going to be anything usable. So it's going to be your chemicals, your booties, your gloves, whatever stuff you have to buy more of because you used it on your job. How much is that costing you per job? And then the last number is how many of these jobs are you doing per month? So this information, along with this number up here, is how we're populating these numbers down here. Overhead per job is telling you how much of that monthly fixed overhead are we allocating to each job. You'll see this number is the same across all of the job types on both the residential and the commercial side, okay? All we're doing is dividing up however many jobs you're saying you're doing per month by that total number, and we're saying, okay, so for each job has to pay $140 towards that big bill that we have at the end of the month to pay all of those things. So it's going to give us a gross margin number as well. Gross margin is just, this is sort of a red light, green light thing. You can see, lower gross margin is bad, it's red. Higher gross margin is good, it's green, okay? Dollars per hour yield is telling you how much money you're actually making in the business for every hour you're spending on that kind of job. And then your monthly profit report. How much should be left at the end of the day, at the end of the month, rather, how much should be left from each of those job types based on how much time, how much labor we're spending there, materials we're spending there, after we're taking out the overhead cost, all of those things, how much money is left from that specific job type. Now, this information is useful because it's showing you how much each of these individual service lines are contributing to the financial health of your business. That's not the whole picture, right? We talked about, it's got to be easy to get these jobs. It's got to be, it needs to be relatively easy to do the jobs, right? This is where I want you to stop though and do a little bit of a gut check moment. If these numbers down here, the total monthly revenue, total monthly profit, the jobs per month, the overhead per job, these summary numbers that are created from the data in these two tables don't look right to you, then your estimates are off, right? So that's a good gut check moment of like, how honest are we being with ourselves about it, or how poorly are we actually tracking these expenses, right? Because if you're like, okay, so about $25,000 a month in revenue does actually sound right, but we don't have $12,000 left at the end of the month. Okay, well, that money's going somewhere. And if it's not going to overhead, and if it's not going to labor, and if it's not going to materials, where's it going? Right? So good gut check moment. And if you're like, well, that money is going to advertising, that money, assuming you're not paying a flat fee for all of your advertising, that actually needs to go into your either labor or materials cost, because that does change per job. If it doesn't change per job, and like say you've got someone on a retainer for $2,000 a month, that needs to get added into your overhead costs. Okay, so figure out where to put that where it makes sense. Okay, because that's a big one that sometimes will throw people. But if you know how much you're paying for your leads and what your close rate is, like if you have that number, just add it either into the labor or the materials. Okay. All right. Qualitative scoring. We're going to do rank everything 1 through 5. Higher equals better for your business. Okay. So 1 means it's bad for your business. 5 means that it's good for your business. So the dimensions are repeatability, referral potential, ease of execution, owner energy cost, and scalability. And for each of our job types that we mapped up here, we're going to just score that. So residential flooring, low typically on repeatability because, they're only going to get their carpets cleaned maybe twice a year, maybe quarterly if they're really, anal about it. Commercial customers, though, you're probably going to be doing it something like once a month or once every 45 days or something. So that would rank higher there. Word of mouth yields, ease of execution is kind of based on, do your skills lend itself to that? Is your crew good at it? Do you have a lot of crew trained on how to do that? Do you have the right equipment that makes the job easy? Have you invested in that? That's how you're going to do this. Again, 5 is good here, 1 is bad. Owner energy cost. So there's a little hint down here. 5 equals low stress or low mental load, right? How hard is it on you, the owner, not necessarily the person doing the job out in the field, but how hard is it on you to manage these jobs? And how scalable it is. And what we mean by scalable is, could it happen without the owner present? Not does it currently, but could it? How hard is it to train someone on that, to find someone that already has that skill? How hard is it to trust someone to do that kind of job without you? Again, 5 means that it's very scalable. 1 means it would be something that it's like, oh man, I'm the only one that can do this. It's got to be me every time, right? That's the worst thing for scaling. So you're going to do that for all of them. And then the last piece is where it all comes together, and we're going to do what's called a composite ranking. Now, this is what's cool and where you can really use this tool to help design a business that really works for you and your specific goals, because this slider here is where so much of the magic happens. If you slide it all the way to the right, you'll see you see how the information is changing below as I'm sliding it. Slide it all the way to the right. That's saying all I care about is money. I don't care about any of the qualitative stuff. And it's going to rank the jobs best to worst for your business based 100% on financials. If you go all the way to the left, that's saying I don't care about money. I just want to do the jobs that I feel good about doing, that I feel like are meet all of these qualitative things. And we're going to design our business around that because we want like quality of life and we want to grow as big as we can, right? That's going to reflect the data that way. Maybe you want a balanced approach. Maybe you want 50-50. You want it to be even Steven. No problem, make it 50-50. It's probably going to end up being somewhere around 60-40 or maybe even 80-20 for you, depending on what you value the most and what stage your business is at. But this is where you can get some really good insight. How, should you be focused on residential water damage? Should you be focused on upholstery cleaning? That depends on you and your business. There's lots of information on this page to help you decide and understand these inputs. Let me know if you have any questions. Reach out if I can help you with anything. Thank you for taking a look at my tool. I hope that it helps you in your business. You can always find me at anyaworks.com.